Welcome back to ScreenRant. Oh yeah, there will be a ton of spoilers in this video if you couldn't already tell. With so much globe-trotting, high-flying action and jaw-dropping illusions in Spider-Man Far From Home, our minds are still racing from the epic conclusion of Phase 3 of the MCU. Naturally, once all of the green dust is settled, we just have a few questions to get off our chest. These unanswered questions may come in the future, or could just be left to linger in the MCU stratosphere until Kevin Feige gets asked enough times he finally delivers a straight answer. So let's dive in to discuss characters, plot points, and some potential future storylines for Peter Parker. Unbeknownst to many viewers while watching for the first time, Far From Home set up a major twist which revealed that Maria Hill and Nick Fury were not who they said they were. They were both Skrulls, with Talos taking on the role of Fury and Soren stepping into the shoes of Maria Hill. During the post-credits scene, we got to see the real Nick Fury aboard a Skrull spaceship. More on that later. Firstly, where is the real Maria Hill? Is she in hiding? On a secret mission? Or is she simply on the same ship with Fury, just busy doing her own thing at the moment? A quick glimpse or appearance could have tied things up nicely, but we'll just have to wait for her next appearance to get more information. Spider-Man won the final battle against Mysterio in Far From Home as Quentin Beck perished due to a gunshot. But what happened to all of his co-conspirators? As revealed in the middle of the movie, Beck was working with a large group of disgruntled Stark Industries employees, and all of them seemingly got away. We saw one of them upload the drone data and all of Beck's information, but everyone else just kind of blipped off the radar. Did Spidey not know about them? Are they all getting away with the destruction they caused? And will they continue on without the help of Beck? Chances are we probably won't have many answers, even in the next Spider-Man sequel. For just a few seconds, we all thought Nick Fury was chilling out on a beach in the post-credits scene, but the fantasy vacation quickly transformed into a Skrull ship that Fury was an apparent leader on. The ship looked like it was being worked on or repaired, but what exactly is it for? Is Fury starting SWORD, the Marvel Comics space team that stands for Sentient World Observation and Response Department? We never saw the outside of the ship, but it could be the Peak, the main space station and ship used by SWORD in the comics. Just like in Phase 1 of the MCU, Nick Fury could be using the ship to build a whole new team, an intergalactic one. For months, we've been teased about Quentin Beck's role in the MCU and the fact that the character proclaimed to be from another Earth, essentially bringing the multiverse to the forefront of the MCU. Well, it turns out Beck was just a big phony liar, getting our hopes up in trailers only to have them come crashing down. This leaves us with a question. Will we ever see the actual multiverse? Just because Beck was lying doesn't mean the whole multiverse thing is not out of the realm of possibility. Thanos did a whole lot with his first snap, and there could be some type of Earth-swapping portal located somewhere on Earth, or maybe even in deep space. With such a big build-up and tease, Marvel may deliver on the multiverse a lot sooner than expected. Once Quentin Beck got control of Tony's special glasses, he unleashed a massive army of drones to cause maximum destruction. Well, when Peter Parker saved the day, he got the glasses back and used the Edith technology to ward the drones off. Just one question about that. Where'd the drones go? We all know drone battery life isn't the best, and considering their nesting location is in outer space, we cannot imagine that they just swooped back up and out of the atmosphere. The Stark Tower in New York was also under construction, so the drones probably didn't settle there either. Maybe a third post-credit scene should have been added with a goat farmer in the Netherlands discovering a literal army of drones landed in his cornfields. There's no question about this next statement. The Far From Home post-credit scenes were some of the best in MCU history. Not only did we get to see the epic return of J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, but Spider-Man's secret identity was revealed to the masses. Along with this, doctored footage made it seem like Spider-Man actually killed off Mysterio during their final battle. So will the next Spider-Man movie make Peter Parker a fugitive? Will he go on the run? We imagine he could get put on house arrest and forced to stay inside of his apartment, only able to focus on his hobbies until he figures out a way to remove his tracking device and secretly save the day. Wait, that was the plot to Ant-Man and the Wasp. Maybe Spidey will actually be on the run then. Far From Home was not only the end of Marvel's Phase 3, but it got the chance to set up a lot of potential sequels in the future. There's plenty of teases for more Spider-Man movies, but what other sequels was the movie hinting at? Well, one of the possibilities is Captain Marvel 2. Nick Fury and Carol Danvers are ready for a modern-day mission, and that may be the reason he was traveling through space. The film could have also set up a new Avengers. With control of Edith and the ability to step into this role, Peter Parker could attempt to lead a new group of heroes into the fray. Yes, we're still focused on the post-credit scenes. They were just so epic. So if Peter Parker's secret is revealed now, we may need a different character to take on the Spider-Man mantle. So we have to ask, will Miles Morales get introduced in the next movie? This is the perfect opportunity to bring a live-action version of the character to life as someone who could fill the shoes of Spider-Man while Parker deals with the backlash of his big reveal. If Miles survived the blip, then it's a good way to age him and make the character just a few years younger than Peter as we venture off into another Spider-Man sequel. Peter Parker's Spider-Man origins have always involved wrestling in one way or another. In Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, we saw Parker take on Bonesaw McGraw. In The Amazing Spider-Man, Parker ends up inside a wrestling ring, although he doesn't have a match. Since the MCU skipped a lot of the origin story, we need to know. Did Peter wrestle before? Far From Home actually hints at this idea during one of the early scenes in the movie where Peter talks with Happy Hogan. A poster in the back advertises a wrestling match between Crusher Hogan and Bonesaw McGraw, the wrestler names used in the comics and movies. A fun flashback showing Peter against one or both of them would make a great flashback or Marvel one-shot. In Far From Home, the Daily Bugle is revealed to be a conspiracy-driven video-based website as opposed to the classic newspapers, so what will happen to the Daily Bugle in the future? Will the videos become background fodder and Easter eggs? Will someone like Parker or MJ get a job there in the future? Could Spidey go to war with the news? With the massive amount of positive reception to J.K. Simmons in the role of J. Jonah Jameson, we have to imagine this was far from the last time we'll see the Daily Bugle on screen. The whole news outlet could become enemy number one to Spider-Man, especially after revealing his secret identity. With Spider-Man's real name released to the public, will there be a major target on his back? Not only with criminals like Scorpion wanting to get their hands on Spider-Man, there could also be a bounty placed on Parker's head from other criminal organizations or villains who have been harmed by the hero. And if there's only one person who could hunt Peter down, could Kraven the Hunter be joining the MCU next? There's never been a big screen version of the character, and he's the one fans have been clamoring to see. We'll just have to wait and see if Kraven will make his debut in the next Spider-Man, or if he'll go up against one of his other foes, the Black Panther. Rumors continue to build for Kraven, and it's only a matter of time before he either starts hunting panthers or spiders. For the Infinity Saga, Tony Stark gifted Peter with an iron spider suit. The nanotech had a lot of upgrades from his traditional suit, but he only wore it in the beginning of Far From Home. While the stealth suit looked pretty cool, there's no denying the power and abilities in Stark's nanotech. Even after returning to New York City, Peter kept the suit he designed to make us wonder if he would ever wear the Iron Spider suit again. Maybe if he ventures out into space again, but for now it seems like Parker wants to forge his own path while still using the Edith glasses when he gets the chance. The morning announcements at Peter Parker's high school was a great way to showcase some exposition about the blip while catching us up to the events of Endgame quite quickly. Starting off with an in memoriam section, we saw pictures of Iron Man, Black Widow, and Captain America. But what does the Captain America image actually mean? Did his travels back in time to Peggy Carter mean he was presumed dead? Or did the old man Captain America we saw at the end of Endgame actually pass away? We have to assume he was just presumed dead. It would have been nice if the fake Nick Fury could have confirmed this or not, but he literally provided no helpful information and didn't really know anything anyway. Sending Spider-Man into Europe provided some great visuals and story options, but in reality, the trip made very little sense. It's only been 8 months since the blip occurred, and there's clearly still a problem with people finding homes and stability. The school year was just restarting, and all of a sudden these kids are going to be thrust off to Europe? The world would still be filled with a lot of chaos, and international travel was probably banned for a bit. Still though, we needed a way to see Spidey at all these European landmarks, so it's worth suspending our disbelief for just a little bit. Quentin Beck's big reveal was a great twist in Far From Home. We all knew he was going to be bad, but didn't know exactly how, and the whole Iron Man and Stark Industries connection helped tie in every theme of the movie. If you listen closely during his evil victory speech in the fake bar, we hear Beck reveal that Quentin Beck was the perfect fictional name he came up with. So he's known as Mysterio and Quentin Beck, but we never actually find out his real name. What could it be? And does his real name have any ties with other Spider-Man comic book elements? If Beck manages to come back for a sequel somehow, then maybe Parker will dive deep into the character's history and reveal his name. Flash Thompson is a far cry from the stereotypical bully we've seen in past Spider-Man franchises. He's a rich punk, but adores Spider-Man and definitely hides a lot of fear underneath his ego. At the end of the movie, there was a small moment where we learned Flash's parents are not there to pick him up from the airport. Why did the filmmakers focus on this moment so much? Will Flash have an even bigger role in the future? He did once become a hero known as Agent Venom, so if a big Venom crossover does take place, then Flash could play a part in the story somehow. Either way, the character seems to have a bigger role than he ever has in the Spider-Man franchise. Peter Parker has a whole lot of trust issues, and the main issue is he trusts people way too much. In Infinity War, he removes his mask, tells others his real name, and barely knows who the people are. Luckily, they were heroes, but the mistake he made in Infinity War happened again during Far From Home. This was the moment when Peter just handed over the Edith sunglasses to Mysterio without too much thought. Of course, Nick Fury gave Mysterio all the praise in the world, but Peter really needs a better judge of character before just making huge decisions like revealing his identity or trusting others he just met. He still doesn't know that Nick Fury was a Skrull the whole time. And speaking of the fake Nick Fury, the last time we saw him before Spider-Man Far From Home was during Tony Stark's funeral scene in Endgame. Looking back now, we have to know, who actually attended Stark's funeral? The real Nick Fury or Talos the Skrull hiding in disguise? Our guess is that the real Fury wouldn't miss a significant event like Stark's funeral, and we really want to believe it was him at the service standing alongside all of our favorite heroes. Then again, he was up on the porch and didn't utter a single line. Maybe Talos was scared of revealing his identity? I'm sure we'll get an answer to this shortly before Endgame comes out on Blu-ray and digital. Aunt May was one of the victims of the blip, and during a charity event, we found out that she reappeared in an apartment occupied by a whole different family. What did they do with all her stuff? Where did she move? Did she get her job back? Seriously, the blip wasn't the main focus of Far From Home, but it's just so easy for our minds to keep racing with so many questions and scenarios. Is Spider-Man still in the same little neighborhood he loves to protect? They obviously have to live in the same school district, and rent prices probably skyrocketed as millions of people sought out new homes. Maybe she'll just end up moving in with Happy Hogan once Peter graduates high school anyway. In the beginning of Far From Home, Peter wanted to lay low, sticking to saving locals and distance himself from the Avengers as much as possible. Well, by the end of the movie, things changed a bit. Peter was more accepting of his role as a hero and was more open to filling the shoes of Iron Man. So, does this mean Spider-Man will rejoin the Avengers? If he does, he'll need to find a new best pal, as the absence of Tony Stark is still pretty raw. Maybe he'll lead his own group of Avengers, specifically known as the Young Avengers. We'd love to see Spidey team up with Ant-Man's daughter Cassie Lang and other young characters to take on some evil villains. Thanks to some pretty advanced drones and optical illusion technology, Mysterio was able to create the elementals and prove to everyone that he could be a hero just as good as Iron Man. We saw him defeat multiple elementals, but what would happen if a real threat came? What if we really called upon him to save the day? He would quickly be proved as a fraud and probably end up just dying in the process. Seriously, if Spider-Man was defeated, what was Mysterio's next step? He could make up all the fake villains he wanted, but a real threat would end the ruse. Love was in the air during Far From Home. Not only did MJ and Peter finally confess their feelings to each other, but Ned and Betty had a great summer fling as well. And then back to the USA, Happy and May were doing their thing, mostly off-screen. With so many new relationships, will we finally see a fully fledged wedding in the MCU? Just imagine May or an older MJ walking down the aisle as Thor and Hulk cheer the happy couple on. Now that's one wedding reception we would absolutely love to attend. Of course, this is the MCU, and any type of wedding would likely include some type of invasion by villains, aliens, or vengeful enemies. If there is one victim in Far From Home besides Mysterio, it would have to be Brad. The blip survivor had his sights set on MJ, but his plans went to waste and Peter Parker ended up with the girl of his dreams. After catching Peter in a compromising position and snapping a picture of it, Brad showed his devious side, but he may not be done yet. Now that Parker's secret identity has been revealed, Brad may seek more revenge as his jealousy over Parker grows. While he won't be a main villain, he could definitely serve as an antagonist for Parker in the next sequel. One of the biggest themes in the new Spider-Man franchise is the use of home in the title. So, after Homecoming and Far From Home, what could the title be for the next movie? If Parker becomes a fugitive for the doctored crime against Mysterio, maybe they'll call it Banned From Home or Can't Go Home. If he's arrested and trapped, it could be called Home Arrest. Maybe May will go on a honeymoon with Happy and the film will be called Spider-Man Home Alone. Sounds familiar. We're sure the craft brains at Marvel are already fine-tuning the details, and Tom Holland will probably spoil it months before he's supposed to. Just by watching the Far From Home trailers alone, it's obvious there was a lot cut from the final film. Will we get to see all of these deleted scenes? Well, we hope so. There was an early battle in the film that was cut. It features Spider-Man in his Iron Spider suit teasing some of New York City's finest. A majority of these clips can be found online. There's also another scene Tom Holland has discussed where Peter was going to sell off some of his toys. The scene was supposed to have a Star Wars Easter egg in it as well, which would have been the perfect touch. The Blu-ray should include all of these scenes so we can enjoy his Far From Home journey in all of its glory. Wow, that was a lot of questions. Do you have any answers? Hopefully Marvel does. Now it's your turn. What questions do you have about the movie? Anything we missed? You like it better than Homecoming? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to ScreenRant for more great Marvel content.